first of all, I'd really like to say thanks a lot to everybody who has come and participated in this dialogue. Indeed, as a foundation, we thought it was very, very important that we should, as Africans, get together and look at this matter. Because as all of us can see, this seems to be a perennial problem. When we say silence the guns by 2020, we couldn't do it. So it's clear that this is a particular fissure. It's a particular fissure in African society. So we thought as a foundation, it would be important if we could contribute something towards addressing the issue. So I'm really very, very glad that we've come, we've participated, stayed as long as we have. We intend that the outcome of this should indeed, go to various places, to the RECs on the continent, to the African Union, to the United Nations, to the BRICS, these bodies that, to the EU, which can make an impact. As you know, South Africa takes over the chairpersonship of the G20. So President Ramaphosa will be chairing the G20 for the next 12 months. We'll talk to him nicely so that he must also talk about the outcomes of this dialogue to these G20 members. I think the proposals that you put forward, the 10, as amended, I think are a good summary of what should come out of here. So I really don't want to add anything more than that. Let me tell you something which might help you to understand a bit more about why the foundation does certain things. At some point, we decided to set up what we call the presidential library. And the argument was that there's material that I would have accumulated over many years, which mustn't get lost and therefore must be properly catalogued and all that, preserved and made available to the public. So we start construction of that library towards the end of this year. But the reason I'm raising that matter is because 2-3 years ago, a Ghanaian editor of the New African was invited to attend a ceremony in England where the Nkrumah archives would be handed over to the British Library. So he was invited as a guest. Now, because it's him, he contacted the British Library to say, but Nkrumah's archives belong to Ghana, not England. So the library said they were offered. We didn't ask for them. Somebody came and said they want to deposit the archives here, and so we accepted that. And this is the person who did it. So Ngoma spoke to the person. This person who handed over was a son to a lady who had been President Nkrumah's personal assistant. After he was removed by coup d'etat, she took the material, collected it. And also when he passed away in Guinea-Conakry, she collected more material. So she's been keeping this material for many years. And passed away 2018. I gave it to the son. The son said they've just been keeping this material, paying for it in the warehouses and all that. And that's why I decided, no, let the British Library take the material. So when Ngoma started speaking to him, he said, look, there are two considerations about this. One is that this material must be properly preserved. And number two, it must be made available to people to read and all that. I cannot think of anybody in Africa who would meet those two conditions. So Ngoma said, well, give me 2-3 weeks. Let me ask the African Union. The men agreed. And then said, but I saw something in the newspapers that Thabo Mbeki is talking to some university in South Africa to set up a library. Maybe they might be able to look after this material. So that's how Ankoma then he told us about this. He gave us the contact address of this man, and we wrote to him. We said we can look after the material and we can make it available to everybody. And he promptly agreed. And so material is here. There's some material there from Sekuture, which she collected when she was collecting Ruma's material in Conakry. Then President Kaunda's family also said they think his archive belongs here. We spoke to the president of Zambia because it's, I thought, a sensitive matter. And the president of Zambia agreed with the family. So we are collecting President Kaunda's archive. It's coming here. And then the people who are holding John Garang's archive, who are in Uganda, they offered it on their own. They said this material belongs here. So we've got to go and collect it. You see what is happening is that there's other material. We're going to do the same thing with President Nyerere's material. But they've already digitized it, so we're going to be sharing it. I'm raising this thing because it's clear to us that many Africans want to treat this library not as a South African library, but as an African library. It's a very heavy responsibility that we then have this responsibility to become an African archive. As you can see, these are very important persons in African history. That suggested to us that maybe there's a certain expectations from the continent of which we're not aware, that they would voluntarily say, take our archives. Maybe there's something that we are not doing as a foundation in order to contribute to the betterment of the continent. And therefore said, let's take up this matter about peace and security. And I must say thanks a lot to the ministers who are here. Because the ministers are here from Zimbabwe, from Tanzania, from everywhere, on the specific instructions of their heads of state. It was not a ministerial decision, it was a presidential decision. So I am saying that I'm very, very glad that we all met here. That means we all of us then have a responsibility to carry on our shoulders the outcomes of this dialogue. Because that will be the expectation of the continent. That they couldn't have met just for idle reasons. They met in order to address what is actually a serious challenge on the continent. And they will come with some ideas to make sure that we move forward towards the resolution of this problem. So I'm saying, a chairperson, therefore, that I think somebody did say this, that all of us have a responsibility to make sure that the outcomes of the dialogue, indeed, we don't wait until we meet again next year. We do something about acting on the recommendations that you read out, which were then amended correctly. So thanks a lot to everybody. I'm promising that from the point of view of the foundation will make sure that a proper record of what happened here comes out and the necessary actions are taken in that context. But finally, I must say that it's clear that we need to there was underrepresentation of people from West Africa. That's a matter we'll have to attend to. The Sahel, it's a matter we have to attend to. Sudan, and I think inevitably the Horn of Africa. So in that context, I really want to say thanks a lot to the Sudanese who are here. The panel there was made up of leaders of the civilian movement in Sudan, very important people, exactly the people that the Brigadier General must say, says that the civilians must take over the government of Sudan. It's a part of the leaders. I'm very glad they came. And very glad that the RSF came. They've made their presentation. I'm sure for most of us, it's the first time that we hear what it stands for, its own perspective about the future of Sudan. But thanks a lot. We will continue to engage the sovereign authority that was represented here by Malik Aga, who left yesterday. But they were not walking away from this process. So we'll continue to engage them as we must continue to engage the Sudan matter. So, a luta continua. And that slogan says, "A vittoria è certa." So victory is certain. But thanks a lot to everybody for the work that has been done.
Thank you, President.